Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on urban agriculture and One Health. My name is Sepper Ashard. I'm the co-founder and COO of Actec Media Group. We are a US-based media company covering the latest developments in the world of agriculture, and we provide data, information, and research as well for companies. Urban farming is a very interesting trend. As we all know, the urban population is growing throughout the world. Cities are also rethinking how to produce food and how to produce food closer to the end user, not just in terms of supply, but also in terms of safety, resilience, and also health. So as the previous presentation was mentioning, the One Health concept reminds us that the well-being of humans, animals, and our environments are also interconnected. So today we'll explore how innovations such as vertical farming, digital traceability, and community food systems are shaping a safer and smarter food future. So in today's panel, joining me are Mehul Mehra, Vice President of Supply Chain for Fresh on Table. Please. We also have Fadi Esbeiti, General Manager at Khalifa University and the GarcX facility. We have Dushyant Tyagi, sorry if I'm butchering the names by the way, but CEO at Farmgate Technologies. And then finally we have Dr. Mandar Ghosh, Chairman, Grain International. Please. So maybe to kick off the panel discussion, let's have a brief intro. I know that several of you have given either panels earlier today or yesterday, and also a presentation. So maybe let's start with Mehul. Can you give a brief presentation of you and your company?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mehul Mehra. I'm the Vice President Supply Chain for Fresh on Table. As I explained in my previous presentation, we are a catalyst where we are connecting local farms to our HoReCa partners. Our business model is very simple, that we provide only UAE local grown products to our HoReCa partners. So in a way, we are contributing to the circular economy and the food security mission of UAE. Thank you.
Hi, nice to talk to you again. So I'm Fadi Esbeiti, and I'm the General Manager of the GarcX facility under Khalifa University's Food Security Center. We're an indoor farming facility that's focused on validating technologies for indoor growing, vertical farming, etc., along with plant science for developing new varieties for plants that match this region.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Dushyant Kumar Tyagi, CEO of Farmgate Technologies. Basically, I represent an India-based agri group, Fertis India Limited. We work across value chain. We have presence on the input side, right? We are into fertilizer manufacturing, plant production, chemical manufacturing, water management, and technology. Farmgate is the company where we deal with all the issues, all the business with technology. We have created India's e-national agriculture market for integrating Indian agriculture marketing ecosystem, and this is known to be as world's largest export trading platform for farmers. And we have around 19 million farmers, and we have recently crossed $52 billion GTV. And right now we have presence across country in 23 states and 4 union territories. We are engaged with this market, creating this market for farmers for last 9 years. So and we basically our endeavor is to continue to create platforms where all the knowledge, all the data, all the intelligence aggregates one day, and we start interacting with each other in real time.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Mandar. I'm actually the CEO for Grain International and not the chairman. Just a disclaimer here. But having said that, we are the first commercial research organization, CRO, for agriculture in Asia Pacific. We are a plant-centric company. We work across geographical locations like Japan, Philippines, UAE, as well as Africa.
Thank you very much for these presentations. So let's begin with our first segment, how urban agriculture connects to food safety and the One Health framework. So I'm turning to you, Mandar. You've worked on sustainability certifications for urban and indoor farms. So how can the One Health concept be applied in a practical way to urban food systems?
Let's look at One Health from the perspective of operations of these farms, right? When you're looking at the farming ecosystem, the first thing you're looking at is the PPE at farm level, right? Let's look at work safety from the human aspect. So you're looking at human health at the center for the global farms. Then you come over to the next vertical, which is actually the environmental health. You're looking at discharge of your fertilizers, nutrients, your waste that has been generated. So you're looking at environmental health over there. Then coming over to the biosecurity, basically the pest, diseases, and pathogen infection that happens. That is actually your animal health and plant health coming over there. So One Health is already integrated as far as farms are concerned. What we need to do is we need to actually look at a platform where you built up the floor, which is basically securing all these principles for the farm, having a matrix to record them, measure them, and then provide a ladder of how these farms can grow beyond that.
Okay. Following up on that, not to be the devil's advocate, but some critics also argued that urban agriculture contributes very little to food security due to growing crops that have a very low caloric profile. So based on your experience in Asia, what is its most realistic role within the broader agricultural landscape?
We have always been looking at control environment agriculture as a way to grow leafy vegetables, right? For the longest time, since after COVID, we have been looking at lettuces. We've been looking at some other leafy vegetables, culinary herbs. But CEA systems have not been evolved to fit in other crops yet. I think there needs to be a technological advancement that needs to be coming in, which needs to be more sustainable, but to fit into the localized ecosystem. Because you can't put an endo-vertical to be growing rice and wheat. That's not economical, right? So you need to look at, that's the reason why earlier on when I presented, I mentioned this, that CES should be an integral part of traditional farming. Why? Because your seeds, saplings can be part of your CES systems, which then assures you higher productivity when it translates to the actually outdoor farming.
Yeah, I agree totally, and that is also something that we're seeing across the entire industry, that a lot of vertical farms are seeking to integrate within traditional agriculture or greenhouses. Moving to Dushyant, your company works on data-driven platforms. So my question to you is, how can digital tools improve transparency and traceability in urban food chains while staying accessible also to smaller producers?
See, last decade, we basically worked on data access, adoption, and usage. So, for the smallholder farmers or most of the farmers, more than access comes before sophistication. So you really need to keep things very simple. You really need to understand, in a typical, when you create platforms, you basically tend to goes by trade requirements or user requirements, which are basically away from the farms. But whenever you are creating a platform for farmers, you have to understand requirements from their perspective and what basically makes them to use it. If it is simple, if it is in their language. For example, our platform is available in 9 languages. We are scaling it up to now 41 languages. So that's more important. And one more important thing, farmers generally are open to all technologies. They are curious by nature. But if you don't basically deliver a visible benefit, so that sustainability will not be. You will have a higher degree of dropouts in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to a farmer in Texas, and he was exactly telling me this, that farmers look for proof of concept at scale, not just a proof of concept. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Um, Moving on to the next segment, Fadi, the GarcX plays and wants to play a central role in developing vertical farming and CEA technologies in the UAE and perhaps also in the GCC. So, in your experience, what are the biggest gaps between research and commercialization that still limit the scaling of vertical farming?
That's a great question, but let me start where Mandar finished about the development for CEA to serve leafy greens. So this is a chapter that we have moved beyond. So that's very important to say that, look, the technology needs development, but also needs to be paired by new varieties that would allow the growth of non-leafy greens, which are the fruiting crops and other high-value crops to be matched with the technology platform. So that's number one. Number two, when it comes to bridging this gap, the region here, it's filled with very shrewd businessmen, good investors, but when it comes to the appetite for R&D, people are hesitant. And as some of the panelists from the previous panel mentioned, they bet big on this industry very early in the 2021, and most of those companies failed. Hence, the level of trust is not there, so you still need to build the trust with them. Hence, this, let's say, novel approach that we're offering, which is for piloting and for proof of concept at the AGX Center, would serve the validation of the venture or the crop or the technology before pushing it for scalability and attracting investors. So we're trying to bridge this gap and renew the trust in this industry, specifically that we believe it's very critical for the food security initiatives. And as Mandar also mentioned earlier, it's very complementary to the standard or traditional farming. It's not substituting them, and it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Another question I have for you would be, do you think in general, for if there is any startups that are here or that are listening to us online, do you think vertical farming companies should prioritize technology leadership or cost competitiveness, especially when looking at the GCC?
Look, from being in this industry for the past 6 years, we have abundant technologies. And if there's any startups, these startups are tackling the digitization component, the big engineering challenges, they are being pushed aside. And these are supposed to be also tackled by research centers, but not by startups. So having said this, it's about the viability of the technology and the marrying or coupling with the product that you intend to produce. So more recently, I had a proposal from a German company that has built a platform just to produce one crop, but they do it at a very optimal, let's say, inputs versus outputs. So it's very low in terms of power and energy for lighting, for HVAC, etc. And it maximizes the production of proteins in those plants. So the marrying of technology and the plant, that's critical for startups. You cannot just bring a solution that's for everything. It doesn't work like this anymore.
Perfect. And it actually brings back to Mandar. With your experience, how important is the plant science component in the broader CEA industry, not just in vertical farming?
Is the backbone of farming industry. May it be CEA, may it be traditional farming. Plant science, understanding plants is the backbone, because what you can do with plants, if you know the biodiversity that is present across the globe. I don't think we are even looking at even 15 to 20% of the plant species that are present across the globe. So there is a huge variability that is present across crop species, across multiple geographical locations. To give you an example, how many of us actually, we know orchids, right? Do orchids have fragrance, commercial species? No. But to date, we have got 57 orchid species from across the different geographical locations. We've got fragrance in these orchid species. To an extent, some of the orchid species have got chocolate fragrance. Some of them have tom yum, which is spicy flavor. So there is so much of variability that is present in the crop species. Now, what we are trying to do in Singapore is, our national flower is an orchid. So the gene circuitry that is responsible for fragrance in these species, we are transferring it into the non-fragrant species and the dendrobiums as well, which are the commercially grown orchids across the globe. So understanding the plant science is of utmost important, but we are way behind knowing the plants, and we are very slow as well. Long way to go, I would say. But it's very interesting to see what plants can actually do for us.
Yeah, absolutely. To the Shiants, building on that, some argue that high-tech farming models risk overlooking community-driven or low-cost urban solutions. So what's your take on balancing innovation and also having a innovation with inclusivity?
So we are talking about urban farming, right? So see, it's a question of balance. In India, I mean, we also have a serious problem, for example, in leafy vegetables, heavy metals is a serious issue. And in most of the cities, almost 99% cities, they use sewage water. And very ambitiously, few entrepreneurs from tech side, they came and then basically they did some good job. One of the company I know, because I'm from Hyderabad, I'm based at Hyderabad, Simply Fresh, and they did some good job. But like we, in the previous panel, agriculture or food, we need patient capital. It's a long haul. It's not something where you can have disruptive technologies very fast, right? Maybe when we move to next orbit, what Mandhar ji has, basically shared with us today, that will be the disruptive, I would say, the cusp of change for agriculture when you have high value, super, high net worth individuals, you will have high value output from a mix of farm and lab. So that probably we are away, 15 years away or 10 years or 5 years away. With the compression of AI, probably that 15 years will compress to maybe 5 years. Now I'm very, very hopeful. Coming back to your question, what did this company did? There is a great learning here. They are supplying very good fresh. They approached all the Horeca or right kind of customers for their produce. Absolutely healthy, fresh, and very good, very nice by all means. But they could not basically succeed, commercially. So they changed their tangent, and now they are into seed production. And they're producing best of the quality seeds for vegetables, and side by side sustaining their production. So it's again a question of balance. We have to wait till the time, technology matures, it scales up and becomes affordable. You see the case of e-commerce, it took 22 years to create one Amazon in this world. So food, at least we should have that. I'm really happy with Mr. Grover. At least he highlighted this point. We need a blended capital to take it forward. We can't stop because we have serious challenges. You saw 2050, what is going to happen with the planet. So this is how this is my take on it.
Okay, perfect. Now we're going to move to also the other side of the food chain, safety, logistics, and traceability. So I'm turning to you, Mehul. Don't worry, I got questions for you. Fresh on Table operates across the UAE and also in Saudi Arabia, connecting farms to consumers. So what are the biggest challenges in maintaining safety and freshness as the food moves through urban supply chains?
See, the urban markets are dynamic. So traffic congestion, frequent handling points, breaks the cold chain. Now, a perfect produce can lose its value if the cold chain is not maintained. So what we do at Fresh on Table is we have a process discipline, and technology. Together, we make sure that your food is safe. How? The IoT sensors that I was talking about are the ears and eyes of food safety. So the live tracking of an order today is very much realistic. Today, when a client places an order, he can immediately check online where his order is, at what temperature the order has been delivered to him, or whether it's on the route. Or if it's a pre-order and we have to just store it for a day, those IoT sensors, temperatures can really help, in building that trust. So the challenge is to maintain the cold chain. If we are able to do that, if we are able to succeed, we build the trust with the consumer.
Following up on that, so in your experience, you've also implemented a lot of traceability tools, as you just mentioned. So how have these tools changed how producers, but also buyers, view accountability and waste reduction as well throughout the food supply chain?
So we have pioneered here in food wastage part, where I would say, and I was giving in my presentation as well, the last part, where we've termed it as perfectly imperfect. The products which have the same nutrition value, unfortunately, they are not accepted because of certain product specifications that are being defined at the HoReCa level. So we came up and we discussed with the key players in HoReCa that these products have the same nutrition value. Why do we dump it? And why do we have so much of wastage? Rather than we can create a basket of perfectly imperfect, use it in your purees or any other dishes that you can, because otherwise what you're doing is just increasing the food wastage. And on the traceability side, we've been very transparent in entire journey. Whatever products have been ordered by a hotel which is in the city or located far away from the city as well, they will have the complete traceability. So the journey is recorded right from the time the order has been placed to the order has been delivered.
Now I have a question for the entire panel that links back to supply chain. Again, in AgTech Media Group, we track a lot of developments throughout different segments in agriculture, and a lot of times supply chain is something that just companies don't think of. So from your experience, how can this be embedded into the farm design from the start rather than as an afterthought?
From an indoor vertical farming perspective, we have always looked into solutions to extend the shelf life, because part of the value proposition is you're producing it close to the consumer. That's the whole proposition of urban farming. So the idea was to limit the waste, and it starts at the shelves of the farm, where more than like 97% actually gets packaged and sold. So that's the first waste reduction. But the second one is by extending the shelf life and keeping presentable crop or product on the shelves. And I guess science and technology and working with, plant conditioning, okay? Leafy greens that come from vertical farms have a life shelf between 14 to 16 days, which is not known of for the traditional farming type of crop. So this is our contribution to that. Yeah.
Same question. So how can we implement the supply chain aspect from the get-go and not as an afterthought?
Sorry, I missed the question. It was about traceability or something?
It was about the supply chain. So a lot of farms sometimes, especially the new ones that have been implemented in the past 5 years, often overlook supply chain and how to deliver to the end user. And so my question is, how, in your experience, can farms, or what would be your recommendation for farms to implement that from the get-go and not as an afterthought?
this again depends upon, you know, how better you are engaged with your consumers and your farmers. So if you match the demand and supply for platform like, you know, urban farming, you know, so that helps you to match demand and supply better. For example, you know, ours is a spot trading platform, and we do, you know, every in a trading window of three hours, we do around 24,700 transactions across country. So our idea is, you know, if you use, we are using a AI framework basically, which is highly predictive. So farmers can put up, you know, how much produce will be available for coming 7 days. And on the other hand, you know, buyers, all the buyers, and then system matches. And that matching continues in real time. So, I mean, this is the next tangent. For urban farming, things will also not be different. If, for example, if you engage with the family, and I know few startups in India, those who are doing it for milk, because milk is a concern. Everyone, each one of us are concerned about food. We really want to know from where it is grown, how it is grown, and how it is reaching to us. And people are getting accustomed, and they are very, very proficient in and peace with dealing with, you know, the technology right now. So it gives a lot of satisfaction. So going forward, developing better products, better, you know, which takes things to real time will help. And that ultimately will have a bearing, ultimately have an outcome of your, you know, movement of goods also. Correct. So it's again how you capture the data and basically make the right use case for your goods movement inward or outward. So in India, we are developing a framework, it is called India Stack. So the idea is to capture data right from field. There is a field registry, there is a farmer registry, crop registry, and then a movement registry. So that can be scaled down for a company like you know, yours or wherever. Urban farming is important. It's not like this, you know. Moving forward, I feel there are different types of consumers, and there is a different kind of affordability also. This is the reality in this world. And when this is how the technology percolates down also. Either you make it for masses or you make it for classes. Either it goes from bottom to top or it percolates from top to bottom. That's it.
With regards to the supply chain part, you're absolutely right. If a farmer is not able, you know, we are not able to give accurate data to a farm, what needs to be produced, they will just go absurd and, you know, grow whatever is traditionally they were growing. Giving you my example, when I came into this industry, the pattern was that during the summers, they are going to grow okra, and then there is going to be a gap of 2 months. Then they, you know, in the month of September, they will start sowing for the winter crops. In December onwards, the harvest starts. So that was a practice which was going on. But again, what exactly is the demand? What is the realistic demand? Are we going to follow a similar pattern, or is there going to be an aggregator in between, or a distributor, I would say, who would then come and say, okay, you know what, please grow this for us. This is the demand that we want in summers, and this is the demand we want in winter. So this is the way we can balance things out.
I think to conclude what the powerful things that have been shared just now, right? Agriculture produce leafy vegetables or fruit vegetables. I'm coming from the concept of halal. Okay? We have never been able to put vegetables under that category. But if you look at the whole ecosystem of GCC here, there's something called as Tayyiban Halal. And Tayyiban basically follows the principles of sustainability, of green technologies, everything to be coming in. And government policy on this can actually come up with a very integrated approach for agriculture produce, where logistics supply is taken care of, where data centers have been taken care of. I think at the governmental level, if this policy is implemented, especially in GCC, that would be a huge value for the farmers and the consumers as well.
Because that has evolved over ages, you know. Those principles are, surreal. I mean, they will always be there.
Perfect. So throughout this panel, we've talked about the science, the technology, the research, but also the supply chain. So now moving on to the audience. Is there any questions for our panelists? No questions? Oh, there's one question. It was a perfect panel. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, no, there's a. Is there a question? I think.
Doubles and other things, what is not marketable or the quality maintained, what you can do about the minimally processed. Like in the supermarkets, we have the minimally processed vegetables. That shape or something, nothing to do with the minimally processed. So you can also do that. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
that's what we are already doing, but thank you for your suggestion. But let me tell you that, we, as I mentioned earlier, these products don't go for waste. Even if we are able to convert them by giving a fancy name of perfectly imperfect produce and, selling it to our HoReCa clients, we at the same time are giving a value addition as well, where we're converting them into a freeze-dried products so that it can be sold to the retail markets and all everywhere. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Perfect. So let's give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much.